First day back from the retreat, end of last week of January. Write this number down. 45. 45. Today, in basically 3 hours of work, you guys generated 45 leads and appointments. Give yourselves a big 45. I can't tell you the last time we generated that much in a 3-hour period. So good job. Congratulations. Good stuff. Okay, so I need one of my pass outs. Somebody, Robert.
Yes?
Give me I need to talk. I can't talk without paper.
Okay.
Thanks.
I guess I'll go get one.
Thank you. All right. We have a lot to cover today. So 2 weeks ago we did our business planning event. Got all lined out, got all the systems and things and discussions, how many days we're going to work, talk about our past client sphere, sources of business, etc. So that's number one. Number two, last week, just by a show of hands, who was at the retreat last week that was in the room here? So like 60, 70% of the room. Good. Okay. Was it good? Yes or no?
Amazing.
It was not good. It was amazing.
Great, yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. You know, it's funny because I've been going, I haven't sat down and done the Superstar retreats or Mike Ferry events, etc., but I'm good for a minimum of 5 events a year for, I don't know, he's been doing these events this way for 30 years. 35 years, so that's a lot of events, and every time I go I say that one was the best one. I really did. Okay, but this last one was really the best one. It was absolutely amazing. It was amazing. So I have a lot of things to cover, but what I want to do for you, components of the Mike Ferry system. I think everybody has a copy of that. If you don't, make sure you get one. I want you to, not now, this is a homework assignment, but we're going to get one of these from all of you. So we're going to hound you, all right? We want you to grade yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being pathetic, 10 being awesome, of how you are in each one of these different categories. Some of you are terrific in certain categories, and some of you need some help. And we'd like to work with you identifying, A, where you could use some help, and B, where you're terrific, and then start working on that with you and for you. So pretty awesome stuff. The second thing was that you should have in front of you now the basic Master's Advantage program, which is we lined out all the things we believe you need to be doing on a daily, weekly basis. That's your top page. Everybody kind of with me?
Yes.
Okay? That's your top page. So we lined out, gosh, over the last few years, we took all the things that Mike suggests and all the things that we work on, and we tried to pour all of this together for you. If you do these activities consistently over time, you're going to make money, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay, if you start reading through the list, you're going to make money. You cannot work 210, 220 days a year, these items on a regular basis and not work on making money. We believe you should be able to add 25 transactions on top of whatever you're doing. So a new agent should be able to do 25 deals. A veteran agent that wants to move to the next level should be able to do these activities, add them in, fold them in, get better at them, and add 25 transactions to what they're already doing. So either one of those would be great, right? Say yes.
Yes.
All right, here we go. So the next page, so you look at this page and you say, Neil, how the heck am I going to take all of these activities and put them into my calendar and have a life and family, etc.? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you through this because we can prove this is done on a very regular basis. So if you want, you can write on the back of this, because we'll get other copies, but there's a few points I want to cover before I get started. All right? So first of all, the first point I want to cover is we need to be clear in time management. We need to be clear on what pays you, what you get paid for, what actions you get paid for. So the first action, not necessarily in this order, but kind of in this order, is lead generation. We get paid to generate leads, right?
Yeah.
The second point is appointment setting. The third is the presentation, and the fourth is negotiating contracts. All right? If you're doing those four things on a regular basis, you're going to make money over time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So the second thought I wrote down here is that it's more essential to success to be consistent than it is to be precise. It's more essential to your success, to anyone's success for that matter, to be consistent than it is to be precise. It's not about being right. It's about being consistent. All right? I wrote down here, the power of consistency is one of the most important forces in the world. If you're consistently doing enough things right, you're going to reap huge rewards. And then I wrote down here, in sales more than any profession, consistency of your actions pay big. They pay big dividends, while infrequent actions, even when right, and this is critical, even if you're doing the right thing inconsistently, you can't make as much money as doing something that may not be exactly right, but you do it over time, you're going to make more money. You guys with me on this?
Yes.
Okay? If you prospect for 3 hours a day, and you do that for 3 or 4 days in a row, with intensity, focus, and consistency, and then you don't prospect for a month, what kind of results are you going to get?
Nothing.
But if you prospected 1 hour a day for 220 days, you're going to get good results. Not great, but you're going to get good results. Do you guys get what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So it's better to be consistent than it is to be perfect. All right? So let's work on that. All right? I wrote down here, the daily consistency of prospecting and lead follow-up is the gateway to sales success and high profitability. So we talked about prospecting, but what's the second thing I talked about in that sentence?
Lead follow-up.
Lead follow-up. Okay? Here's what some of you do. You prospect, but you don't follow up. Don't raise your hands. But some of you do that all the time. Okay? In the beginning of my career, I kept looking for the new lead, the new, hot, shiny lead. And I would get, let's say I'd prospect today or tomorrow, and I'd get a new lead. Wow, this is really cool. And then I'd prospect a little bit more, and I'd get a second lead. So the first lead, what happens to the first lead when you get a second new cool and shiny lead? It somewhat diminishes in your eyes as not as cool and not as shiny. Got it?
Right.
Now you get a third lead, and the first lead drops down a little bit more, a second lead drops down, and this third lead becomes the new shiny cool object that you follow. Now the truth is that maybe the first lead needed a little bit of incubation. It wasn't going to happen today, but it would happen over a week or two. It was a nice lead, it was great. How many times have you gone back and followed up on leads you got a week or 2 or 3 or 5 ago, and they'd already done something? How many times that happened? It's kind of discouraging, isn't it? It's actually one of the reasons why we don't follow up, because we really don't want to know that. It's actually one of the reasons we don't follow up on our past client sphere. One of the things that kills us the most, takes and just puts a knife right in our chest, is when you've got some past client sphere, they love you, you love them, you haven't talked to them in a year, you finally come to one of my events and I finally get to you, and you finally pick up the phone and you finally call them, only to find that they just listed their house last week and they're really sorry, really sorry. They can't tell you how many times they're sorry, okay? But they couldn't find your phone number. How many times that happened? Any of us that have been in the business for any length of time?
All the time.
All the time. All the time. All the time. Oh, Lee, they can't have it all the time. I'm killing me. So I wrote down here, sometime. If you limit the amount of time you work, this is a really great thought. Get this. If you limit the amount of time you work, you force yourself to be effective in the time that you work. It's not that good to have the whole week to work. You're better off having just a few days or a few hours in the week. I heard this story, gosh, from 6 or 7 of you over the last couple of weeks. You were, all of a sudden, the superstar, the productivity retreat came up. You jumped up on you in terms of time, and you realized, oh my gosh, I only have a couple more days, and then I have to go out of town. And you had leads to work on, you had things to take care of, etc. And all of a sudden, you were working like crazy to get this stuff done. You got some business put together, some appointments happened for you. You actually put some transactions together in a very tight period of time. So you should do yourselves a favor, and we talk about this all the time. Shorten your time. Shorten your time. You don't have a 12-hour workday. You only have 8. Use them. Work more focused. That's where we run into a problem. Here's one of your problems, one of our problems. Not so much mine anymore. It took me years to get over it. What's today? Today's the 28th or 29th of January, right?
Yeah.
So, you have a goal. Your goal is to do 25 deals, 50 deals, whatever your goal is. And some of us think, wow, it's 11 more months until Christmas. It's 11, 12 more months. I have this time. Okay? I'll get it done. Kiss of death. Okay? Don't do that to yourselves. What's coming?
Christmas.
Christmas. It's coming. I know it seems far away right now, but it will be in your face in no time. And you'll be looking back saying, oh my gosh, where did the time go? What happened? Don't do that to yourself this year. 2018 is the year where that's not going to happen to you. Fair enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I wrote down here, your schedule should always be based on the goals that you set for the year, not anything else. And as Mike said, I wrote this from his talk this last week, having a precise schedule can solve most every production problem you have, provided we follow it. I've heard him talk hundreds of times, and I don't think I heard that point hammered home as much to me in that time. We have to have a precise schedule, and we have to follow it. And when we do, we get the benefits. So, the neat part, I talked about this at the business planning event, is that basically we're starting from almost zero. Okay? From almost zero. Although it was a little depressing to hear that, who was it, Karen Bernardi already had 32 closed-in pending for the year. Jeez. Or Neil Weichel.
She never starts at zero.
Or Bernie. Well, actually, it's really interesting. You know, we see all those players up there. Every single one of them, this goes back 20, 25 years, I guess 20 years, 25 years of Karen, where she would call Mike, no kidding, on January 1st, freaked out. Freaked out. Can I do it again? Freaked out. She wasn't the only one. A lot of those people in that first row would call and say, can I do this again? And the truth is, the answer is, yes, one step at a time. And that's what we have to teach. It's about working on getting results. Then I wrote down here something that I learned early on in my career from a guy I was in the train wreck business, Seymour Nadelman. We handled train derailments for 7 railroads in 11 western states. And Seymour would always say, when things seem impossible, possible only takes a little longer. Nothing to him was impossible. He didn't care. You know, it was just going to take a little bit longer. See, sometimes the thing is that we get stuck. And we think, okay, this is going to take too long. Or, you know, my goal is you know, the business planning. I said, I have a foolproof plan for you to make $1 million a year selling houses. Foolproof. It's proven. In fact, all 6 of those people on stage, was it 5 people? 5 panelists? 5 panelists. Every one of them worked my program and are making in excess of $1 million a year. And that is working on building their past client sphere base month over month, year over year, until they started to make $1 million a year. And then they started to make $2 million a year and $3 million a year. Who's going to hit $6 million? Oh, Ed Kaminsky's going to hit $6 million a year. It's past client sphere business. But Neil, I called past client sphere. I called 8 of them last week, and I didn't list anything. This system doesn't work. I get that call quite often too. You know, I'm going to go to another ferry event, or I'm going to go to a Brian Buffini event, or I'm going to go to a, I don't know where they're going to go event. It's amazing. I wrote down here another thought that they talked about on the panel was get the morning right and the day will follow. Mike's been teaching that 40 years. Get the morning right and the day will follow. Get the morning right and the day will follow. And the last thought on this stuff is the day starts the night before. Your day starts the night before. If you have a drink, and a drink doesn't mean get drunk. If you have a glass of wine or a beer at dinner, it's harder to get up the next day. I'm not talking about drunk. I'm just talking about one drink. It's a little harder to get up the next day. If you eat late, it's harder to get up the next day. It's really hard to lose weight. Okay? Going to bed late is harder to get up the next day. Was it Javier Guerrero who said that he solved the getting up, the going to bed early?
Yeah.
He said it's real easy to solve going to bed early. All you have to do is get up early, about 4 in the morning, a couple of days, and you will go to sleep early. He said, I solved that one, watch this. I thought that was brilliant. Okay. So let's talk about your business, your calendar. So what I did to make this work, I set out a 2-week calendar. Guys, we start with Sunday, we go through the week, we have Saturday, 1 week we don't work a Saturday. So I kind of want to walk you through this to show you how well this can be done. But first of all, in order to do that, I want you to write this down. The very first thing you need to do in developing a calendar, your first homework assignment for you to work on, is to go home and talk to your family and significant others first. Okay? Counterintuitive to what you would think would come out of my mouth, right? You would think, put down your prospecting first, put down your appointments first, and then build your world around it. No, doesn't work. I've tried it. Okay? Your family is going to capture a piece of your mind, whether you want it or you don't want it. So you might as well say, okay, world, let's start with the family first, work the plan there so that I can work kind of around it, or at least with it. So family must go in the calendar, blank sheet of paper. I try to do this. I try to take, I used to do it monthly, then I did it quarterly, and I actually am working on the whole year now. Okay, family stuff first. Because the truth is that you can anticipate certain family functions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wrote down here what we need to put in there. You need to sit down with your wife, significant other, your husband, your children. If you have an elderly person older than me that you're responsible for, that needs to get to the doctor or needs to get to the hospital on a regular basis, they need to. And if you're their go-to person, you better put it in the calendar, because you're going to get a phone call on Tuesday afternoon for Wednesday morning. Hey, I need you to take me to the doctor. So call that person and say, tell me when you're going to the doctor, if you're that person's caretaker or person that's going to help. Because here's what happens. Has there ever been a time where your family life and your business life collided?
Yes.
Okay? Goes like this, doesn't it?
Yep.
What happens to your stress level when that happens? Phew, right? Goes crazy. And all you needed to do was to somewhat anticipate it. Now, I get things happen. I get kids get sick. I get they get in trouble at school and you gotta go pick them up. I get that, okay? I'm a dad. I was Mr. Mom for a while. I get it. But you can anticipate the PTA meeting. You can anticipate back to school night. You for sure can anticipate all the holidays. You can anticipate, we're talking about the dentist. Here's interesting situation. Kids are supposed to go to the dentist every 6 months, right, Mom? Right? Okay, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to. We try to get on some kind of a schedule, all right? When you call the dentist, though, moms call the dentist and try to make the appointment in the morning or the afternoon? Afternoon. Because it's after what? School. I'll take you after school, because we want our kids to show up for most of the school, right? So if I call and I want a dental appointment, most of the appointments that they're going to offer me are when? In the morning, when I'm supposed to be what? Prospecting. So anticipate that and call your dentist, and if you have to, put it out for 8 months. I do my stuff because I want 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. That's my time. Okay, if I'm going to get anything done at the dentist, it has to be 8 o'clock Wednesday morning, because that's how it works into my week. Because I have an hour from 8 to 9, and then if I do that, then at 9 o'clock, then I can be on with my life. So 8 o'clock Wednesday morning, all right? So I'm booked out into infinity with my dentist, because we set ours up for every 3 months, because sometimes there's work to do and a cavity shows up and blah, 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 whatever the deal is, okay? So it's anticipated. It's easier for me to cancel than it is for me to book it. You get it?
Yes.
Ladies, you get your hair done?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. But you get your hair done, or you get your hair cut, all right? Get it in the books. Get your nails done. Get it in the books. I have a standing appointment with the gal that cleans up my nails and stuff every month. It's 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. So I can go to the dentist, I'm clear, and I can get to the gal. It's actually 9:30, so it gives me half an hour to get to that on a regular basis. Am I pre-planned or what?
Yes.
So can you be. You can do this. It's not that big a deal. All right? So, family first. Stress backs off a little bit. Dates. Dates. Husband and wife dates seem in real estate to come off the schedule. Okay, very fast. All right? Here's what I tell all the guys, ladies. Every week you should set up a schedule. The guys can't cancel, only the women can, the wives. Okay? So you're in real estate, you can't cancel a woman, your husband can cancel, but you can't. Okay? Because what happens in real estate when if your date night's Wednesday night, what happens? So you just get an appointment. Always. Oh, I gotta go on a listing appointment. Now, that listing appointment becomes in front of your spouse or significant other. Don't do that to yourselves. This is a dangerous business to begin with. Okay? Have time with your family. You don't have to spend money. Look, going out to a show and all those kinds of things, that can get expensive, I get it. But you can go walk on the beach, costs nothing. All right? You go walk in a park. You don't have to drive to the beach. They have some beautiful parks. Take a walk. Take a walk around the neighborhood. Take a walk around the mall. There's nobody there. That's a different problem. So I wrote down family dates, birthdays, anniversaries, date night, parties, quinceañeras. Am I saying that right? Okay. Screwed that one up. I wrote down hair appointments, vacations. Talk to your family about vacations. By the way, in my house, a vacation isn't a Mike Ferry event. I tried to get away with it. It doesn't work. Honey, I got a great idea. Let's go to Italy. Great, let's go. These are the dates. We should go these dates. Fantastic. So I'm going to get the concierge and we'll find out. We'll go on this tour. We'll go on this tour. Oh, no. Between here and here, I'm going to be in a seminar. That is not a vacation in my house. Okay? So you have to, so vacations are vacations and Mike Ferry events are Mike Ferry events. All right? So be careful with that kind of stuff. You guys get any questions on that part? Okay, so what I did, I didn't put your schedule, your personal life in here, but if you'll notice, there's a lot of family time in here. I put family time in on Sunday and Saturday 1 week. I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 evenings at home, 2 evenings. One you'd be home by 4 in the afternoon, and one you'd be home by 5 in the afternoon, and the others were more like 7 o'clock after you had appointments. So you guys, that's in the second week actually, okay, is how I laid that out, all right? So you've got the time in there. So you can move things around to fit your family, okay? So there's plenty of family time in here. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, questions so far on anything we covered on the family? Family first, write it down, circle it, family first. If you don't put your family in first, guess what's going to happen?
Disaster.
They're going to put themselves in first. They're just going to make it in a stressful kind of a way. So do that. All right, the second thing is we need to set in your appointment slot. Excuse me. Cool. Second thing goes your business appointments. All right. So first you have your family. The second thing we're going to lay in here is our business commitments. What are business commitments? Business commitments are tax appointments. Business commitments are coaching appointments. Business commitments are sales meetings. Business commitments are Mike Ferry coaching calls. Business commitments are continuing education. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you don't have a current real estate license, I can't pay you. Did you know that? No, really, it's true.
It's not fun, not funny.
That's not funny. In California, we renew our real estate license every 4 years. Okay, we all know about it, it's up front, we get emails sometimes, and we're alerted, et cetera, et cetera. You will be surprised, maybe you won't be, that every year we get somewhere between 4 and 6 real estate agents whose licenses expire. Right about the time they're gonna get a nice commission check. It just seems to work out this way, okay? And so we get notified from the BRE or DRE, whatever they're calling themselves, and they say, hey, Susie's not licensed anymore. So we can't pay you. You come, you know, we let you know, but it's sometimes real estate agents don't get the message or get our email or our text sometimes, although congratulations for all of you being here today. And we run into an issue where now you get mad at us. You've had 4 years to get this done, and you're mad at me. It's not right. And I take that very personally because, you know, I'm an amiable and I like people who like me. So that's what happens. Seriously, 4 to 6 people every year come in and say, gee, Neil, can't you make an exception? I can't, because then my license is in jeopardy. And if I lose my license, well, I guess it's really Cindy's right now. Cindy's license. She's the managing broker. So we can't do that. We just can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Second thing that tends to come up, not real estate related per se, but can anybody tell me what the 15th of April is? Tax time. So there's a very interesting correlation. Usually 2 to 3 weeks before the 15th of April, sales in our company drop. Sometimes dramatically. Yes, they drop. So I used to think, because why would I think any different, that they dropped because our clients weren't out doing their taxes. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What I found was we're out doing our taxes and not working on business. So, hilarious. I want you to write down, April 15th comes every year. Just write it down, circle it, and work backwards. So right now, in January, you should be gathering all your expenses and your income, et cetera, so that you get it out, so that when your taxes are done during the period of time when April 15th comes. All right? And it comes every year. Okay? I make you a promise. Is everybody with me on this?
Yes.
Okay, those are the two. So that's the business. Now, business appointments are not appointment time, and they're not prospecting time. It's everything else that's business related. You guys with me? So now we've put in our calendar family, and then we laid in business, and now what are we going to lay in? We're going to lay in the appointments, and, well, we're going to lay in the activities that we have, which are the money-making activities. The appointments that we want to do. How many appointments do we want to do? And how many listings do we want to take? And how much prospecting time do we want to get? That's what we're going to lay in here. Isn't that interesting? Now, once you do that, if the appointments and the prospecting are the last thing laid in, and you covered family and you covered business, then the odds of something conflicting with your appointments and your prospecting time from the family side diminish dramatically, don't they? Get it? Has there ever been a time when you were talking to a client and you were closing hard, like crazy? You didn't have all this laid out. And you said, let's meet at 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. That's when we should meet. But you know there's a little nagging voice that's talking to you about 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon. You don't have it. You're not sure what it is. It's not in your calendar, but it's nagging at you. Anybody have that nagging?
Yeah.
I get that stuff all the time. I used to anyway. Okay? But you close. And when you're done closing, and you get all the information, and you get the address so that you can send them the pre-listing package and everything, you hang up the phone, you feel good about yourself for about 30 seconds, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I forgot that's my dental appointment for my kids. I forgot that I have to meet with the attorney to go over estate planning. Whatever the thing was, you now have double booked yourself. The double booking yourself is a problem in itself, because now you got to call the client back and either unwind it or move it, which doesn't make you look real professional, right? And maybe even potentially lose it because it was maybe wobbly to begin with. Or you have to call somebody else to do the same thing. But meanwhile, you're pretty stressed out about all the stuff that went on, right?
Right.
Don't do that to yourself. Have the block of time lined up. There's a third issue, and I believe that this plays equal to or greater than anything we just talked about. When you're closing on an appointment, and there's something nagging on your head, do you tend to back off the closing a little bit?
Yes.
If you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that 3 o'clock appointment is totally open and you have no conflicts, you have everything inside of you goes to close for that appointment time. But if there's anything that makes you a little bit unsure, you tend to back off slightly. And that tending to back off slightly could be the difference between setting an appointment this week and not setting an appointment this week. Get it?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, Johnny on the spot, if you're not hammering, that's going to be part of the problem. Questions on any of those things that we just covered? No?
So every week was door knock on
Yeah,
first
that's
week.
right.
Okay, so I'm going to go through that with you. Okay, so first of all, so besides that, any other questions on this before I go into, I'm going to walk you through the calendar. Okay? So any other questions about any of the points that we covered?
Do you usually have your appointments in the evening? Is on this basis, on the schedule?
I just put them in there. You can put them anywhere you want.
Okay.
Okay? I set this up in large part to give you an example that everything on this page, including family time, could fit in a 2-week period.
Okay.
Get it? That was really the demonstration. I get that now all of us are going to take our own personal time, look at it, and we're going to modify it, okay? You know, some of you are involved with your kids, and you have lots of commitments there, and you're going to have to do whatever you have to do. I get it. It's all part of the deal, okay? So good question, Tess. Anyone else? Okay, let's walk through this a little bit. So take where it says on the top left, Sunday 1/28. Everybody there?
Yes.
So it's Monday, it's today. Everybody with me?
Yes.
So today, the first thing we do is we get up, we read our goals, we write our scripts, we do our affirmations, whatever it is that you want and need to do, that's your time set up for you. Now, again, that might not work for you because you have to take your kids to school. So we'll modify it and move it around, all right? But I'm showing you that we can put it in here. Then on this particular day, we happen to, because we're in Walnut, I said that we're going to go to our lead generating class at 9 o'clock in the morning. We role play from 8:30 to 9 here. We are lead generating until noon time. We have the lunch and learn, which is what we're doing now. At 1 o'clock, we're gonna do the advanced script class. And then I wrote down here that we're gonna do some follow-up and or admin work. We have 1 hour set aside for follow-up and admin work. Now, follow-up, you have to be doing follow-up every day. But you can't be following up on 732 postcards, okay? That you just can't. You've got to decide what your lead, what the definition of your lead is, and then work from there. That's a different class, all right? And then I give you an hour to prepare for your listing appointment. Now, most of you won't take an hour to prepare for your listing appointment because you're gonna have already pre-prepared your listing package. And all you need to do is go in, look at the comps, look, you're pros. Now, for some of you that are brand new, it might take you a week or 2 or 3 to look at the comps a few times in different ways to get more comfortable with it. But some of you, you look at the comps, boom, 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 take this out, add this to it, stretch this a little bit, shrink the price, add the price, shrink the location, add the location, and you now have your 7, 8, 10, 15 properties that you want to talk about. Push a button, print them out, and however you want them. You want them one-liners, you want them three-liners, you want backup, however you want to do it. But you have to practice this. It takes more than an hour to practice it. But once you've practiced it on a Saturday or Sunday or in the evening or in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, where you now got it, you can do all of what I just said in an hour, and everything's pre-printed. Get it? And we've got 4 or 5 different pre-listing package examples that you can use. Of course, you're not going to want to use them because Susie might have the same pre-listing package. God forbid we're going to go on the same listing appointment and they're going to be the same. They're not going to be the same, okay? Make it a different color, all right? It's just, don't do that to yourselves. It's like when I suggest that you go door knock out back. Okay, well, geez, Neil, I was going to go door knock the houses behind the office, but now that you've told everybody, no, I'm not going to do it. Has anybody done that recently? Guys. Let's go back to this. I'm going to go door knocking. I'm going to go door knocking. I'm going to go get a listing or 2 and just upset the hell out of all of you. Okay, so we prepare for the appointment, and then I wrote down here, this particular time, Tess, is 5 o'clock for an appointment. Could be earlier, could be later, you could move things around, absolutely, okay? And you would go on your appointment, I wrote down an hour and a half. Now, the hour and a half isn't an hour and a half for an appointment. The hour and a half is the time to leave, get there, be there early, do your appointment, and get the heck out and get home. That shouldn't take you more than an hour and a half, unless you're going to the Salton Sea. And then it could take longer. Okay, that was kind of a little joke for, so let me say what I'm saying there. Let me tell you what I'm saying there. To grow, to get really big, and it was clear when I watched those panels, those 5 people, to get really big, you have to get smaller first. What does smaller mean? Tight area, tight location, know your markets. Some of us are from Los Angeles to Fontana, Los Angeles to Corona. Don't do that to yourselves. Shrink your markets. 2 or 3 or 4 of our cities, 5 of our cities, tops. Don't do that to yourselves. Smaller to get bigger, okay? So, and then family time on Monday around 7 o'clock. Okay, does everybody get that you could do that on a Monday? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, now you could modify it. You could come in a little bit later. You could prospect a little bit less. But that kind of gives you an idea of what is possible, what you can get done. And you're home at 7 o'clock in the evening, including a listing appointment. Pretty cool day, right? Pretty powerful day. Okay, let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday, again, we're going to write our goals. We're going to role play. We're going to work on our scripts in the morning. And then there, and again, some of you are on the doors, some of you are on the phones, some of you are on a combination of doors and phones. I'm giving you 3 hours in the morning to do a 5-5-10. And the same day, I'm allowing another 3 hours in the afternoon. Is that correct? Yeah, 3 hours. That's 6 hours. Does it take 6 hours? Sometimes, I don't think so. But sometimes it might. If you keep it tight, it won't. I get that it might the first time or 2 or 3 or 5, or maybe the first week or 2 before you get a rhythm and figure out how to do this, just like your pre-listing package. But once you figure this out and you can step it up, you can get this done probably in 4 hours, 3.5, 4.5 hours. Okay, but I gave you 6 hours there. You won't use it, will you? But you could. So then I also gave you lunch. At lunch, read, educate yourself, YouTube. You know how at the top of this Master's Advantage program, it talks about 3 times a day, spend 10 minutes reading positive thoughts. Darren Hardy, you know the name?
Yes.
Darren Hardy does a really good job. Very positive, very motivational guy. He's got 2 videos, 2.5 hours. 2 completely separate videos, but 2.5 hours worth of stuff on YouTube. I just saw it this morning. Okay, that is great, great stuff. I mean, it could be Darren Hardy, it could be Mike Ferry, could be anybody you want. But if you want, then just take a 10-minute excerpt. So in 2.5 hours, what's that? 23 10-minute excerpts, something like that. You're covered for the month. You're covered for the month for all this. And every 3 times a day, you just go through and build yourself up a little bit. You know, pump yourself up a little bit. Is this a lonely business sometimes, yes or no?
Yes.
And is it kind of depressing sometimes?
Yes.
Okay, and is it we get disturbed, we get distracted, we get discouraged. I listened to one of my talks that I did a couple of years ago on discouragement this morning. Yeah, we get discouraged. I mean, you know, we go on a listing appointment, we think we're going to get the listing, and we actually, you know, they said come tomorrow morning and pick up the papers, and somebody got in between that, and they ended up selling the house to somebody else. That's discouraging. It happens, but it's our business. No other place on this planet can anyone make the kind of money that we can make. Nowhere. So sometimes you're going to be discouraged. But most of the time, you're going to make pretty darn good money. I say this all the time. My 43 years, no college, no family money, 18 Ds in high school. That's throughout high school, not one class.
Straight Ds.
I had an A and an F. I had an A and something. This is very bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, my wife still is mad at my mother for allowing. So what were you thinking? But it was what it was. Okay, I wasn't a bad kid. You know, I wasn't on the streets. I wasn't smoking cigarettes and, you know, smoking dope and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't stealing. I just didn't care about school. You know, we don't talk to my children a lot about that. No, all my kids graduated. Graduated college. Yeah, thank you. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. I don't know about for them, but I thought it was great. Until I got all the bills. But the point is that I didn't, this business is phenomenal. I got nothing on top of nothing. And I gave nothing till I got into this business and then loved it and gave everything. You know, 40-something years of helping you guys get what you want, so I get what I want. I figured that out. That was a Zig Ziglar, you know, thing years ago. I heard that Zig say that, and I said, that was it. That was me. That was me. That resonated with me. And it's been that way for 40-something years. I help you get what you want, I'll get what I want. You know, it's just, it worked. It worked out fine. So, so point 2 is a family night. There is no appointment. You could have an appointment, but I have no appointment log for that. And you're gonna go home at 5 in the afternoon. Now, you go home at 5 in the afternoon right now, but you didn't prospect for 6 hours. What if you did? Would you generate some leads for the rest of the week?
Yes.
See, that's what's lined out here. Now let's move to Wednesday. Wednesday, we're gonna read our goals. We're gonna write our scripts. We're gonna role play. We're gonna preview expired. So what's interesting is we don't work the previews and expireds quite as long. We end at 11:30 because we're gonna spend a half an hour working on follow-up. Okay? We'll just take a little follow-up time. By the way, you could be out previewing property. You could take your follow-up cards with you, you take your information with you, however it is, and you could follow up from your car out wherever it is you're door knocking. You don't have to come back to the office. You don't have to do that. Okay? Set your life up where you've got those. These are the 5 numbers I need to phone call in that half an hour period. You have your little pen, you make your phone calls, you can do that. So then you go to lunch, you read, you listen to tapes, you work in the afternoon for 3 hours, preview expireds, preview property, preview expireds, door knock around each one of them for another 3 hours. Wednesday night, you're gonna do an appointment, so we have to prepare for the appointment, we have to go on the appointment, and by around 7 o'clock in the evening, we're home. So you prospected 5.5 hours that day, had a listing appointment, and went home at 7 o'clock. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Why can't we do that on a regular basis? What gets in the way? I've lined it out. Life gets in the way, right? But if you anticipate the life we're talking about, you can correct some of that. So maybe instead of 5.5 hours of prospecting, let's say life got in the way, and you could only do 4.5 hours of prospecting on Wednesday. Would that be so terrible?
No.
But sometimes we don't do any because we don't pre-plan it. Okay, Thursday. Is this getting boring?
No.
Nope.
Okay, well, because we're doing kind of the same thing. But you see what's happening? See what's happening? There's a system. There's consistency, there's a system. Imagine doing this for 40 weeks. Not 52 weeks, because you're gonna go to Mike Ferry events, you're gonna take vacations. It's only for 40 weeks. 40 to 42 weeks is all you need to line out here. What gets in the way? Life. But we're like pinballs on a pinball machine instead of being in control of our time. So on Thursday, we read our goals, we write our scripts, we role play, we preview properties, we go see some expireds, we door knock 10 around each one, we do some more follow-up, we go have lunch, do positive things in our mind, and again, we have another 3 hours of prospecting. So 2.5 in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, we have 5.5 hours of prospecting, and we're set for another appointment that afternoon. I set up this week for 4 appointments. 4 appointments. In 2 weeks, 7 appointments. 7 appointments. If the top agents go on 7 appointments, they end up with 3 listings. Maybe 4 in 2 weeks, right? So how many is that? That's 2 a week for 40. That's 80 listings at the end of the year. That'd be close to your goal, right? Close. You see what I'm saying? But we get in our own way. You're gonna walk, you're gonna do what I always do. I get done with the Mike Ferry event, and I'm so pumped and I'm so excited. It was just absolutely amazing. We spent a couple extra days with Mike, our team did, and Sabrina, and got a little extra coaching and training from them. And I'm looking at the work that we're doing and saying to myself, oh my gosh, I got it, I know what to do, you know. And then it was like the end of the day on Friday afternoon, and you get in your car and you start to drive home, and then the world calls you, right?
Yeah.
You know, the kids call, mom calls, you know, the in-laws, this issue, that issue. By the time I got home, a 2-hour drive, it was like, what Mike Ferry event? Huh? Huh? Well, the same thing's going to happen from here, but we have to protect against that. We have to guard against that. So then I wrote down here on Friday. Friday we have our group door blitz from 9 to 12:30. We, of course, I didn't read our goals, write our scripts, role play, our door knock, door blitz from 9 to 12:30. We're going to have lunch. We're going to preview properties and go see some expires. We're going to do some lead follow-up. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, family time. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. What? Think about it. I've designed, you have designed, you can say to your family at 4 o'clock, Friday afternoon, I'm going to be at home, sitting in the house. That's what I'm going to do this Friday. Now the following Friday, the following Friday, you did the same thing. No, I like my plan. See, I think you can do that. I truly believe you can do that. I see people do these things. Look, you saw those 5 people on stage. That this is kind of their life. Now, not quite this intense. Not quite this intense. Certainly not Karen and Neil. And then on Saturday, because this particular week, I wrote down here that we would prepare for appointments. We would go on appointment. We'd do an appointment a little bit earlier, because and again, you can move that around. We did some follow-up. We had some lunch, and then I wrote down in this plan. I thought, certainly for a brand new agent, that you did 2 open houses a month, on Saturday, every other week. And if you don't want to do open houses, I'm perfectly fine with that. Then substitute that for Saturday prospecting. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not saying you have to do this, but a brand new agent, maybe doing an open house or 2 might not be a bad thing. All right. The veteran, you might do them because you need to set that up for your clients or however you want to do that. And then at 5 o'clock, you're going to spend the time with your family. So there's a lot of family time here, right?
Yes.
Okay, I plugged it in. You can modify it, but I plugged it in there. All right, any questions on week 1 of the plan? Okay, let's get really rolling here and go to week 2. So week 2, same thing. Does anybody see a pattern here?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. I'm not going to walk you through every piece here. I'm going to ask you a question. Could you do something like this for yourselves?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you?
Yes.
What prevents you from doing it? What gets in the way? Sorry?
Yourself? Yes.
Yourself, okay.
Distractions.
Distractions, okay. So it's true, distractions do get in the way. And that is one thing that you have to kind of write down and start identifying what your distractions are. Okay, that would be really helpful. What are the things that distract me and prevent me from doing something like this? Because we'll all agree, if you did this over, well, what's 70% of 40 weeks? 28 weeks. If you did 28, if you only did 70% of what you're supposed to do, 70% of the time, you'd still have a pretty profitable year, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we need to start writing down the distractions. And don't worry about working on them right away. Get with your coach, get with me, and just start writing down what the distractions are, get the list, and then we can start figuring that out. Some of it are kids, some of it are family, some of it are anticipating the kids, some of it are anticipating, making dinner. Okay, so you have to go home, and maybe your spouse or significant other wants dinner at 5 o'clock. How can I correct that? Well, you know what? If you do an extra deal a month, you could hire a service that'll deliver food 3 nights a week. Okay, maybe you don't have the money to add that to your budget right now. But if we could figure out how to get one more deal, that one more deal, that few $1,000s would pay for a service to bring good quality food. I've had these services before. The food's terrific. You know, just a side note, my wife said, I'm gonna do that for you and we're gonna put you on this diet. Yes, okay. So then she would have 3 boxes set. 1 box for her and 2 for me. Okay, and I say, honey, I'm supposed to eat 1 box. Yeah, but it's not enough. I'm gonna give you 2. So did I ever lose any weight? No. So my wife wants to take care of me and make sure that I shouldn't starve.
Very nice.
Yeah, I went to a fat farm once, same thing. Identical situation. You go in, food was terrific, everything was great, portions were, you know, it was like a ship, but for healthy people. And healthy, not me, but healthy people. And the portions were really small, delicious, wonderful stuff. So I liked it. I had 2. Well, I had 3. It was really good. I gained weight in that week. Yeah, not really good for that stuff. Not good. Questions on anything we covered? Start working on this. This was done in a Google format. Okay, this is just Google. It's all it was. Okay, we can share it with you or get it to you or get a copy to you, however, and then you can play with it. But this is just Google. All right, costs nothing. But set it up and then start working. All right, everybody. Business plan. We had the Mike Ferry thing last week. We now have the schedule. You guys have all the tools. The next 40 weeks should be absolutely your best 40 weeks that you've ever had in your career. Thank you very much.